doing it here.
I'm so pissed that I forgot that question, though, dude.
I know. What that was. You can't expect that.
I should have written it down with the way things were going for us that night. That would have been the right move. Who knows if I would have written it down correctly? But
that's true. That's a good point here. That is a good point.
It looks like Juan Soto just got scratched tonight.
What does that mean?
I wonder if he's gonna get dealt. That would be nuts.
Going to the Mets.
The Mets would be something I know. I saw the Cardinals are the front runners. That would make a lot of sense. I mean, for them, they probably have although I don't know who they're dealing in that move necessarily, but they got a ton of talent. They develop a lot of talent.
Yeah, they usually do. Speaking of trades, can we just move on from this Jaylen Brown, Kevin Durant saga? Because I don't want to do it anymore.
You don't want to do it because you don't want your jersey to become worthless.
I also just don't want Kevin Durant. Like, I hate this position that I'm put in now where I have to hate Kevin Durant.
Well, wait a minute. Would you not hate him if he...
I don't want the team to get broken up. Do less. This is what you've done already is great.
It's true. Adding Malcolm Brogdon is ridiculous. But I think Windhorst kind of put it best.
And Danilo. Danilo's an awesome addition.
That's a great complimentary addition. But I think Brent Windhorst said this probably came out back when this trade actually probably was mentioned way back, when the Durant stuff first happened. But but Jalen's not happy, and now that he's not happy, it's like
I know.
Probably kind of. I bet you.
Do you have to trade him now because if he's not going to re-sign a long-term deal, so is this kind of forcing the hand? I hate it.
Durant's under 4-year contract too, so it's like you got 4 more years left of Kevin Durant in his prime. If you do that, and then you have Brogdon for 3 more years.
How many of Jalen?
2, and then 4 of Tatum.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's kind of like you do that, and then by the time Durant's contract is done, you may have Brogdon re-signed for a little longer. You'll still have time. Lord Tatum will be 28. You can have a whole new group of guys that you pair him up with.
So I don't like it though.
But now that he knows, now that Jaylen Brown knows, if he didn't know already, to me, this is a problem. Now the Nets absolutely fed this to Shams and they did it because that's either where Durant wants to go. Either Kleiman fed him that, or the Nets fed him that because that's the best offer that they've had so far, and they want to get it done.
Oh, I don't like that. But Marcus Smart was floated around in a lot of trades, and then Jalen tweeted the energy shifted, right, and that was kind of right around the point. Maybe they can put it aside. I don't know.
I would
win. You get a major league type moment where you win in spite of the organization, right? In spite of the front office.
Yeah. I mean, he's taken some shots at Brad before too. When you think about some of the stuff he says, and when he reflects on, the year before Ime was there and what Ime does now. But,
right? Yeah, that's got to be tough. Be tough there.
Anyways,
yeah. Let's get to it. What do you say here? We'll get to it in. Excuse me. Let me clear out my throat. 3, 2, 1. There's something different in my genes, Nick. You could say it's a little bit of a mutation. Probably from that late night binging of all that ice cream pizza last night. I'm Wesley Sykes, and through the other side of the ether is the Brian to my Bruno. It's Mr. Nicholas J. Esquire, inhuman or mutant or clandestine for hire.
I thought that the whole reason, I could be wrong, but the whole reason he kept calling him Brian the whole time is because we don't talk about Bruno. So,
what do you mean we don't talk about Bruno?
Isn't that in Encanto?
I haven't seen. Yes. Oh, I'm sorry, that was lost on me. So usually the shoe's on the other foot. Now, how does it feel?
This is true. It feels uncomfortable in a different way.
Yeah, it's right.
Should I have known that you didn't know that?
Yeah, so it's different being on this end too, because now I feel like I should probably know that, but nevertheless, 2 sides of the same coin, living up to it in the opening here. And this week we'll be conducting an exit survey of the most recent Disney Plus show. That's of course Miss Marvel, starring Iman Vellani, very charming young actress there. I think it was her debut.
Ton of potential for this kid. There's no doubt about that. She did a really good job with the character who neither of us cared about coming in.
Charisma out the wahoo. But before we get to all of that, Nick, speaking of ice cream pizza, one of the funnier moments from the series, what's the strangest item you put on pizza?
I mean, I guess probably I don't think
anchovies. You an anchovy guy?
No, I think I was around anchovy pizza once, and it like made my skin crawl a little bit. I couldn't do that.
I don't know that's a big Portuguese thing, though.
Anchovies is a Portuguese thing?
I believe so. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I didn't know that. The real bummer.
Sardines, maybe. Maybe I'm thinking sardines. I don't know.
A peek behind the curtain. Wes and I were hanging out this past weekend, and I had a really good question for him. And I know this makes for a great story, but I could not remember what it was, and Wes couldn't either. But that's on me. I'm so pissed because I got nothing for this strange item.
There's too many good times being had.
That's one way to put it for sure. Man, I don't know how I walked out of there alive.
Yeah, well, you certainly did. You thrived. You went down Cape, further down Cape, I should say. Excuse me.
Yes, sir. But I got nothing for a strange item on pizza because I don't think I really have anything like hamburger pizza is not strange.
Okay, so you're not going too far outside the bun here. I think I've done shrimp and scallop pizza on like a white pizza, which I didn't enjoy. I don't like mixing seafoods and that sort. I don't know. It's kind of a weird taste. Wasn't a big fan of it, although the pizza place was good. Trying to think of something else. White pizza in general, I'm not a big fan of. I like a saucy red pizza. At this one place I used to work at, I used to get pepperoni and artichokes. Now that made it for a very wet and juicy pizza.
Artichokes. Oh, okay.
Very good.
I'll tell you what, when I was out in Chicago, this is, I guess, pizza related, but so obviously I talked about deep dish on here a ton. Love deep dish. Too much. Pepperoni and sausage are the two ways to go when you're getting that. Lou Malnati's over Giordano's for sure. I think, Wes, if I'm not mistaken, I don't think I ordered more than 10 deep dish pizzas while I was in Chicago.
Really?
Like I had some because like team stuff, they bring stuff in, or if I was at like the dining hall, sometimes it might be available there and I get it. But like I don't think, I definitely ordered quite a bit of deep dish.
I don't think the team nutritionist appreciates hearing this.
Well, you know what? They took us to Olive Garden on a budget. And I've eaten at Olive Garden like twice since 2014.
When you're here, your family.
Yes. Well, I don't like family, apparently. So there you go.
I've been dying to go back to an Olive Garden. That was one of the places, one of the restaurants, one of the many restaurants I've worked at in my lifetime.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, back in Long Island. But I would love to get the tour of Italy.
Yeah.
Give me the tour of Italy.
I always get fettuccine chicken Alfredo when I go there, right? I'm very basic with that, but it gets the job done.
Yeah, I'm sure in more ways than one. Maybe it's giving you something different in your genes, Nick.
Yeah, it might be giving me something different in my genes. That's one way to put it.
Enough scat talk here, Nick. Let's get to San Diego Comic-Con day one. Big wrap. Before we get to the big news here, we'll get to a minor aperitif, if you will. A couple of the animated things. This might be right up your alley, Nick. Here we have I Am Groot. Which is coming up as a crow flies very soon. I believe coming up like second week of August. I want to say August 10th or something. But then we have Spider-Man Freshman Year, which has already been greenlit for a second season, sophomore year. That's going to be expected to release 2024. Marvel Zombies Season 1, a TVMA rating. That seems to be the big takeaway there. Season 2 and also a Season 3 of Marvel's What If has been greenlit. And then also, I'll let you take it from here. X-Men 97 coming out late 2023. Already Season 2 greenlit.
Yeah, and the weirdest thing I think we got from all this is Magneto. It looks like he's going to be leading the team. I mean, we were talking about that.
With a different look, too.
Yeah, and I like the look, don't get me wrong, but I love like classic Magneto's look. But like even now in Krakoa, he's got like the white outfit and everything like that too. But we got like the cast that we want back. We got some new characters too. I know you got them listed off here. You want to take us through who we got that we know of?
Yeah, so some additional characters, maybe X-Force related here. Sunspot, Morph, Cable, Bishop, Forge, and Nightcrawler. So I love that combination of Morph, Cable, Bishop, and Forge, all those guys. And they have the similar X-Men outfits. They all kind of look the same, kind of like a military ex-con kind of esque thing, So
Mhm.
I'm all here for that. And then with the storylines of Mr. Sinister and the Hellfire Club, so maybe an Age of Apocalypse type of thing going on there as well. So some very cool things they could be playing around with.
Yeah, the one thing that stood out when you're looking at the original X-Men the animated series cast, we saw Storm. Her hair's now she's going back to that like the split up the mohawk look, which she didn't have throughout the cartoon from when we were kids. But I
Mm-hmm.
love seeing Nightcrawler get thrown in the mix because I think he only has like one actual episode in the original animated series, and then you see him like kind of randomly pop up and stuff like they would do with some characters. So I'm really excited to see him get used a lot more heavily, and then Bishop too. I mean, like Cable is cool, like Cable a lot, and these other guys, but Bishop was definitely my favorite one of the like the reoccurring characters from the X-Men, the animated series show. Obviously excited to see Gambit and all these other characters. Hopefully, I would love if the younger audience that's hopefully going to be like tuned into this, like learns how awesome Gambit is on top of the other X-Men too. But
I think they'll lean into it. I think they'll definitely make that character a standout.
I hope so. I really hope so because it's just like there's a ton of potential here, and to get a really good read on who you need to invest in more as a company, and like that's one of the guys. Like I just can never wrap my head around like how do you not use more of Gambit and Rogue? They're just an awesome tandem.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Well, clearly they've tried, but just can never get it off the ground one way or another there, right?
Idiots.
But now that we've got the appetizer out of the way here, now is the real fun stuff here. We got San Diego Comic-Con Day 2 Hall H presentation there from Marvel. And I'm going to see if I can try to share my screen here, but we got the first two trailers here. So we got She-Hulk Attorney at Law for the upcoming Disney Plus show, and then Black Panther Wakanda Forever, which will end phase 4 of the MCU here. But let me give you your thoughts here while I kind of pull this up.
Yeah, absolutely. So She-Hulk Attorney at Law, I think the only problem that we had coming, like anybody had coming into after we saw the first trailer was how does the CGI look? And it looked kind of odd. I didn't catch it at first, but then other guys in the GSC pointed out. Then I kind of saw it after the fact, but it seems like it's been refined a little bit more. And other than that, I think it has a ton of potential. And of course, the big tease that we get in all this too is as what's his face? Is Daredevil showing up in the course of all this? And I know we got more with him to talk about with him, but Black Panther, we already knew we were getting Namor and everything like that. We talked about it from the jump on Endgame in our review.
Yeah,
that's pre-DSG, so we've been on top of it from day one. So we're really excited about. I'm really excited about that one too. That looks Wakanda Forever looks awesome.
And the trailer that they did to drop it, and the way that they did using Bob Marley's "No Woman, No Cry," going right into Kendrick Lamar's "All Right," so it's like dealing with like a lot of grief, obviously, with the death of T'Challa and obviously Chadwick Boseman in real life, but they're going to be dealing with that and addressing that there. But the whole storyline, everything that they showed of Namor and Atlantis and everything like that with the Latin American vibes. I'm here for it. It's like Latin America meets Avatar, which I don't know why it doesn't work with James Cameron, but it works for me here with the MCU. I'm here for it. It looks really cool.
Did you not like Avatar when you first saw it, or just over the years you kind of got annoyed with it?
No, it was just an okay movie. I liked it. And then, like, it just kind of grew. It grew. And then it became, like, funny to kind of hate on it, too. So, I'm also a victim of that. Like, I've kind of jumped on that as well.
Yeah, that definitely became a thing. And I mean, I can just understand in general, Lord knows you and I both do it, where it's you didn't see it right away and it was so popular, and then it's like, okay, now I gotta see it, and then it's like, okay, it's fine, but like I don't get the hype. So I think I saw it and I think the hype was there. The visuals for me is just they're stunning, and it looks like the new one. But other than that, it's like it's.
And
good.
I'll see the new one too. I'll see the new one in theaters too here. But
like
I'm not sure if I can say the same. The visuals are the same for She-Hulk here, and that might be the big question. And that's like I don't know if you had touched on this while I was pulling up the screen here, but the difference in the CGI between She-Hulk and Professor Hulk, even on screen in the trailer, seems like very different for some reason. I don't know why. And again, I don't want to continue to harp on the CGI and everything after we talked about, how they're done dirty, right, in a lot of ways there. But
brutal.
It is kind of tough because this is like it's going to be hard to not notice it for a series that is centered around a CGI based character, you know?
Yeah, for sure. I was just saying, actually, when you were pulling up, I thought it looked better than it originally did.
It did. It did.
Okay,
But
so
I'm thinking of the last scene in particular where they show her face and it's like a very close up, and it's like it doesn't look like a person, and it doesn't look like anime. It's just again, like they're got to be under a whole lot of pressure here, so it's tough to kind of fully nitpick it. But it
it's
did
not.
look better from what we had saw originally.
Yeah, and you know what? The criticism to me, I think that like when I hear that from you, I don't think you're like now that we know what we know about the people who are doing all the CGI. That I don't know their exact job title. I don't blame them. I blame the people that are paying them that aren't paying them enough, that aren't treating them well.
Yeah,
Because
yeah, exactly.
it's so annoying that I understand like people who put this stuff out there and advertise it and do all the marketing. I understand their value. But like when you're talking about the creators and the artists, I get so annoyed with that kind of stuff where it's just you disrespect them. We talk about it with comic book writers and comic book artists. I think artists get it worse than writers do. And then here it's a similar kind of deal. I have no patience for that. So I don't have any problem with your criticism. But you and I both know
but it goes to Marvel. It's not to the artist directly.
It's the higher ups,
like
100%.
Yeah, it's like again, we talk about this all the time. The Red Sox, the Yankees, they should be paying out. Like I never want to hear luxury tax when it comes to getting players at the deadline or in free agency or anything like that. You know, like you are the highest paid teams in the world, right? In professional sports in many cases, right? Go get that guy. So are you an animated superhero production company, when I'm talking about Marvel here?
Yep.
All right, go and pay for your CGI because that's obviously one of the pillars of your foundation. Like go 100%.
Do it. Couldn't agree more.
All right, so enough. We'll get off the soapbox here and hop right into Phase 5 because we said Black Panther: Wakanda Forever coming out in November should make a boatload of money there to close out Phase 4. Phase 5 now, which is we got from Kevin Feige, which is going to be the multiverse saga, right? Phase 4, 5, and 6 here. And it's including new titles like Captain America: New World Order, question marks, a little not too crazy about that title on my end there, but looks cool nonetheless. Daredevil: Born Again looks like it's going to be 18 episodes. A question there. Mm-hmm. Agatha, Coven of Chaos, a Disney Plus series with Agatha Harkness. And then it will culminate in July 2024 with a team-up movie, The Thunderbolts. Very excited for that.
It's here. It's happening. I mean, Casey was the first to report this out in the open when we're talking dates and it being in the works and everything like that. But I couldn't be happy for you that you're finally getting it, that you're getting it. Disney has told you it's here, Wes.
I am very pumped about that. I think it's going to be, again, can't wait for it. I'm excited to see how it kind of materializes, over the next few years and everything. And again, this is coming up kind of faster with the Thunderbolts in 2024. Phase 5 is opening up with, Ant-Man Quantumania, followed by Secret Invasion, followed by Guardians 3, followed by Echo. Then you got Loki season 2, the Marvels, Blade, Ironheart series, which is going to get the launch of Riri Williams, who was introduced in Wakanda Forever, the trailer that we just saw, followed by the Agatha series, then that Daredevil series, and then Captain America: New World Order, I believe, is closing out Phase 5.
Yeah,
I'm sorry, the Thunderbolts.
The Thunderbolts is close. Yeah, not ending it with a team one would say a lot about the Captain America thing, but still, I mean, like Captain America, I like Sam Wilson as him, so I felt good about that. We'll see what it turns into. Thunderbolts, very excited for that one. Agatha, I like Agatha. The missus likes Agatha a lot too, so very excited for that series. For me, though, the big one, and it's still, but also a question mark, is Daredevil: Born Again. Like, hey, we're getting it. We got our first glimpse of what Daredevil is going to look like in She-Hulk, at least at the start of things, we would think. But 18 episodes, those better be half-hour episodes. Because why would you have 18-hour-long episodes?
So, he seems to be kind of the one of the linchpins of this ground game that Marvel's trying to do here, right? With the ground-based street-level characters, Spider-Man, She-Hulk, obviously being other ones, Moon Knight, right? Miss Marvel, who we're going to be talking about later. But still, right? Or maybe Miss Marvel's cosmic. I don't know. But she's grounded right now. But anyway, I think the 18 episodes could be a way of, like, again, giving a movie-like storyline over an 18-episode arc. I'm with you. I don't want 50-minute, 65-minute episodes like we got in Netflix. that 30, 35 minute, maybe 40-minute episodes with, a longer culmination episode, I guess 17 and 18 on that 50-minute mark. That's what I'm cool with,
Yeah. Yep. If it's 30 minutes, I think we've talked about 8, 6, right? Obviously, but
Yeah.
to me, if it's 30 minutes a pop, then it ends up being 9 episodes. So I'm fine with that. There is something to it where it could allow you to jump around. But if you're doing an hour long and you want to do more than this one season, you're really going to be pushing it, because I mean, if you can't do that, that's now you're talking in CW territory. And I understand these are way more cinematic than the CW stuff, and I did like some of the CW stuff,
Mhm.
but I love Daredevil, and I will still watch it, but it's gonna be a major challenge for a lot of people to do that, and even myself included. 18 episodes, hour long. There's just no way. That'd be too stupid to do something like that.
Exactly. And especially with as much content as they're jamming in at this period of time. Like, again, we're getting used to this phase 4 where, it's not just a movie every 4 months, every 6 months or so. It's a movie every 4 months plus a series or two in between, right? So as it's all kind of going on here. Looking at this phase 5 slate, of all the new additions and some of the previous ones, the Ant-Man Quantumania, Guardians 3. I think Guardians 3's got to jump out at you. This feels like it's going to be, that Rocket origin story. Of course, also kind of introducing Adam Warlock there as well. And, maybe I think kind of the concluding, maybe we see some deaths here as the conclusion of the Guardians of the Galaxy, at least this current iteration with James Gunn at the helm and Drax and everything like that.
Yeah, I mean, that's gonna carry some serious weight. I mean, and I don't know if I wonder if they're gonna try and continue to do the Guardians, but have a different team, and that seems realistic. But are you gonna do them as a movie still, as a movie franchise? Are you gonna mix them in and have them pop up here and there in other stories, or are you gonna maybe have them do a little show or something like that? Because I'll tell you what, I don't want to be the person that has to follow up James Gunn with the Guardians of the Galaxy, because I mean, you look at what Marvel is, and it's like, of all, again, we talk about it. Marvel has used a lot of characters that people know and didn't care about, or didn't know and also didn't care about, and then turned them into important characters. And Guardians of the Galaxy is the best example of the latter of those two. It is so. Why would you want to follow up James Gunn in that regard? So I would think that, yeah, like Drax, we're going to see go. I wouldn't be surprised if we see a couple more too.
Yeah, I think you could see Rocket go here too. Again, if he seems to be kind of the centerpiece, and maybe it's easier to get rid of a CGI character. Maybe it's a little bit easier on the bottom line too, if we're just what we were just talking about. But you're going to see, again, maybe another CGI character introduced here. Cosmo the Space Dog, I think is the name there, if I'm not mistaken. But it's Maria Bakalova from Borat, the Borat sequel, who is going to be voicing her. Or that dog.
Yeah, I thought we saw him in the original Guardians, or was in or Thor? He was in the Collector's Place, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, that's right. I do think he was an Easter egg somewhere else there.
Yeah, he was.
And I bring up Guardians here only to leave Ant-Man Quantumania for last, because I think this slides in nicely to what Phase 6 is going to be discussing. Although Ant-Man Quantumania is kind of leading off Phase 5, I think Kevin Feige said at the San Diego Comic-Con that Kang is very much, carrying this next saga here, this multiverse saga here. So this is going to be what I imagine to be his real introduction. If you look on any, on Reddit or, YouTube or anything, you see little snippets of the trailer that they showed there, and there was a little conversation between Scott Lang and one of the versions of Kang the Conqueror, and it was very kind of chilling moment. Scott Lang's like, I don't think you understand. I'm an Avenger, and he's like, oh, you're an Avenger? Have I killed you before? And it's like a kind of, again, that very chilling, like calm, collected, but like very sadistic type of tone. So again, I think we're gonna see multiple different Kangs here. Moving forward, but I think this is going to be the start with the Quantumania, and also you're getting Bill Murray in here and MODOK. So Bill Murray as Krylar, I think.
I'll tell you what, you're like, when we talk about moving things forward and everything like that, the larger MCU story, I mean, I think Quantumania, like we've all joked, like everybody said, like I know Joe said it, and Mac and Goo I think said it too about Thor, like has a huge job to do after Multiverse of Madness and everything. I didn't view it like that. I just like you have to come out and give us something good, and they did.
Mm-hmm.
But when you're talking about moving the larger thing forward, Quantumania absolutely has to do that with a name like that. You absolutely have to.
I think it's going to. It
Yeah.
better not, or we riot, Nick, or we
Yeah,
riot.
or we riot. But I'll tell you what, where with phase 4, it seems to be, we talked about it, I think, last episode, if not the one before, how phase 4 is very similar to phase 1 and how it's kind of introducing things, with other characters. We're seeing some
Mm-hmm.
evolution with them, and it's not focusing so much on the larger picture as much as there are being seeds planted in the course of it. I think phase 5 is where it's going to be just like phase 2. Like, okay, now we're going to move things in, kick them into overdrive. And then we're going to look back on phase 4 and be like, okay, like you could have done it sooner, but at the same time, like it's not. I think phase 4 is going to age better with phase 5, just like phase 1 did.
Yeah, and I'm going to stop the screen share here, bring us back. But yeah, and I think Feige again said something that was kind of similar to what you were just saying here. Is that through what you can see until phase 6 is, and what ultimately leads up to spoiler alert, the Kang Dynasty and Avengers Secret Wars, right? The two big team up movie events to close out phase 6. Is that there's gonna be an expressway of movies and titles that will build up to those major culminative events, and then there's going to be also series along the way that are kind of like pit stops there that don't exactly advance to that greater through line connective tissue, but will introduce these characters that may play a role later on, or again just kind of have a self-contained role like Miss Marvel, like Moon Knight, whatever.
And I know for a lot of people, a lot
Which
of our
is nice to
listeners,
hear.
yeah, but I also know that for our listeners, it's nice that he's spelling it out. I think it's good. I think it's important that he's spelling it out because I do think for our listeners and our co-podcasters in the DSC, like everybody wants to see how does it connect to this larger thing. And Marvel kind of has done that to itself. But now that Feige's getting out, hopefully a lot of people who are fans of this stuff are hearing what he's saying. I personally like these individual stories where we're kind of just exploring one character to get them know them more, figure out what they're about, their motivations for when these larger things happen. And just in general, I just wanted like the larger stuff, sure, like the battles from Endgame, it's extremely rewatchable. The same thing with Infinity War. But how often am I going to go back and sit and watch one of those versus one of the one-offs, like an MC, like one of the, like like an Ant-Man or a Ragnarok or something to that end? Like those are the kind of things because it's a lot easier to process, and it's just there's more than just the larger picture at hand going on within those stories. So I'm glad that we're still gonna get some of those.
Yeah, absolutely too. And I also think too, it like I look back to the last San Diego Comic-Con where they introduced Fantastic Four and the Mutants and Blade, and then we haven't gotten any of those things yet. So it felt like at that time they're like, all right, we don't have anything big to really give the audience to look forward to yet because we're not ready to do this, but we know we're going to be doing this. We just got the Fox properties, right? So let's make the announcement this is last year's Comic-Con. Let's make that announcement there to buy us some time. And I think what we've seen over, since then in these release of movies, like it hasn't really, we're like, where's the Fantastic Four? Where's the X-Men? And now we get this announcement and it feels a little bit more concrete.
Well, I think like when you talk about because I think we've said it on here, right? Did COVID kill the MCU? And it's like, well, we didn't have.
Yeah.
I mean, it hurt it big time. And we look at because those announcements came
That's
back
fair too, yeah.
in 19. It wasn't last year. We haven't had a San Diego Comic-Con in that long. Now we've had the Disney Plus stuff, but I feel like last year we got the announcements of some shows, right? We got Miss Marvel, She-Hulk, and Moon Knight. It was a lot more Star Wars heavy. I can't remember what they did the year before that. I don't know if they had any announcements because we already had everything that was kind of planned. Maybe it was WandaVision.
Maybe it was at the at-home one. Maybe when it was doing all the WandaVision and Disney Plus shows. I just remember seeing the title card, the Mutants and then the Fantastic Four and Feige saying, let's not forget about that. And that was all anyone talked about. It was like the Blade thing too. And now it's all, again, we're looking at 2-3 years down the road from this year's comic.
Oh boy, I think Wes froze again. So I'm going to have to talk over him for a little bit just so I don't have to go back and edit this later on. But the point that he was trying to make was about the separation in time with with what happened in 2019 and this year. Hopefully he's going to be back in a second. There we go. I stalled long enough. So if you want to repeat what you had to say, that's just so I don't have to go back and edit it a little bit later on.
Yeah, no, it's fine. We could just move forward with it. We'll keep going now into phase 6, right? With the aforementioned Fantastic Four coming in November 2024. Then we have Avengers, the Kang Dynasty in May 2025, followed by 6 months later, Avengers Secret Wars in November 2025.
Mind blowing that we're getting 2 Avengers movies in the same calendar year. I feel like we've gotten them in this actually no, we've never gotten them even within 12 months of each other. So this is bananas.
I think Endgame and Infinity War. I think it was maybe a year.
That might have been a year, 12 months apart. But and obviously those were filmed at the same time. But this is, I mean, maybe they're tying together in a similar fashion, but 6 months apart like that is nuts. Or not even 6 months. No, 6 months. Yeah, math.
And again, you're talking about 3 years to really build this out and execute it and cast everybody and edit it and do the CGI and everything like that and the promotion. So this seems like a pretty tight window. I wonder if it gets pushed back a little bit further. I wouldn't necessarily even be upset at that because that means hopefully they're doing it right. But again, Avengers, the Kang Dynasty sounds very interesting. I was listening to some YouTube videos about this, and it could incorporate multiple Kangs and a multiversal type war where they enlist the help of different Avengers, different heroes to kind of help battle one another, because there has to be only one Kang or else the whole world, crumbles. So which could lead to the events of Secret Wars, which again, I hope leads to Feige and Marvel pulling out all the stops of getting all the previous past heroes who's ever played a comic book superhero, whether that was Ben Affleck's Daredevil, Chris Evans' Human Torch, all those guys. I'm bringing everybody in for that Secret Wars event. Would be unbelievable. Again, biggest movie moment ever in history, right?
Yeah, you could do some pretty and we've seen. I know Sony was the one. It was a Sony movie, but Sony. We know that Disney Plus or Disney Studios and everything, Marvel Studios is involved in that sort of stuff, because there's no way they're going to knock that out of the park like they did, because it's just Sony doesn't do anything well outside of their Spider-Man stuff, right? So they've done it before. They know how to do it to some extent. And they've done huge ensemble casts as well. So if they do something like that, I don't want to get my expectations too high for that, because who knows what they're going to give us. But they could absolutely do it and do it very well, as long as everybody wants to come back for it, of course.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, I think that on the heels of, again, you're looking at 6 months separation between the Fantastic Four, the Kang Dynasty, and Secret Wars, right? 6 month gap in between all of them, or, between each of them there. It makes me wonder, again, when you see Avengers, Infinity War, and Endgame, the kind of soft, palatable movies that were Ant-Man and the Wasp or Spider-Man Far From Home, that weren't as higher stakes, that were a little bit more self-contained. I wonder if Fantastic Four is going to be something more like that, or if it's going to be, again, a direct lead in Avengers Kang Dynasty 0.5, almost a direct lead into that.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, it might be. They got a lot, the fact that they're doing what they've got all the stuff though right now, and it seems like there's still a lot of direction there, even though we've been a lot of people have been frustrated with Phase 4, because I feel like I know you've had your frustrations, and I definitely feel like certain things haven't lived up to the hype necessarily. I feel like it's just, this is kind of comforting to hear a little bit from Marvel.
I still will look back, I think, on Phase 4 for the most part and think this will be inconsequential in the long run. Just kind of filler.
I think, other than
with the exception of Loki and Multiverse of Madness.
I think, because Multiverse of Madness is still consequential because of America Chavez. But I think the introduction
and
of
the incursions and everything like that, and kind of the the science of the multiversal saga, right?
Sure, fair. But I think we're getting an introduction of She-Hulk, Moon Knight, Miss Marvel, those things I think are going to be important. But right. It's kind of, I guess you can say, in the middle ground of a filler versus consequential, but definitely not moving the larger plot forward like we talked about, of course.
Absolutely. And after all of this, Nick, we have A little bit of DC news, something. Henry Cavill showed up as Superman, right?
He didn't show up as Superman.
Oh no! Damn.
This is too bad. Well,
That's
if you guys followed Casey Walsh, who we are expecting to have on next episode of Change My Mind, if you followed him, you would know that wasn't going to happen. It was never going to happen. So I don't know and it looks like he's been saying too, and I don't want to get too much involved with the Snyder Cut stuff, but he's been saying Snyder's done. This is it. We're not getting any more after his Justice League. Jim Lee said it the other day. Snyder's done. Of course, talking about Zack Snyder, not friend of the DSG, Scott Snyder.
Of course, not to be confused. But yeah, we got a Shazam trailer, Fury of the Gods, and Black Adam trailer. We got those two things there. A whole lot of rock related. I still find it odd. It doesn't seem like Shazam and Black Adam are going to be meeting in this at all, unless there's like an end credit scene, mid credit scene, something like that. Which seems weird that they would have two movies running concurrently, almost concurrently, right? But not really intersect the two powers or two heroes who have a similar power set. I don't know.
And they're happening at the same time. It seems like they're rivals and everything. They're very much tied together. I really don't get it at all. I've long thought, like, when Black Adam got announced, it's like, where everything's going on with DC, it's like, what are you doing? Because DC's, I mean, look, we could talk about DC telling we're blue in the face. Honestly, it's just they tried to do what Marvel did, and now they're picking up the pieces, and it's going to be a while for them before where everybody's like comfortable and confident in what DC is doing. I like what they did with Batman, and what they kind of want to do in the wake of that is do everything on their own, and then maybe you could bring stuff together later, but have them tell their individual stories. But it still feels weird right now. Still feels strange, and that's their own fault, unfortunately.
Yeah, it's weird that they can't even figure out their marquee hero, what to do with it, with Superman. Yeah.
Well, I mean,
it starts at the top, right? Like,
I've just long felt like, hey, like, don't try and do too much with Superman. Like, set the foundation with Batman instead. People like him more.
I hear you, but
you
got big problems if your marquee hero, you don't know what to do with him.
Yes, and the hardcore DC fans love Superman. I mean, there's still a lot of people out there. I mean, like Max, Superman guy, Doc's a Superman guy. I'm not. I never really have been. So I don't. That's why I'm just like, don't try and do it there. Do it in another space. But anyways, speaking of Doc, obviously we do get general comic book news at San Diego Comic-Con. Kind of gets overshadowed, and we'll talk about it more during TLDR because I want to get to our exit survey. But one big thing that I did want to highlight, we were tipped off that some stuff was going to be happening with friend of TLDR, Misty Flores, who we just had on TLDR recently for her addition to the Massiveverse, which is Radiant Black and everything like that. She's going to start writing Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, and she actually used to be, what was her title? It was like president of she was like in charge of the Power Rangers over there for Hasbro and Saban. So she was a big wig over there. Now she's going to be writing the comic book series starting with issue 101. That begins in October. Very excited for her. And she's going to be doing a Radiant Pink, co-writing the Radiant Pink 5-issue miniseries. So again, that's more Radiant Black stuff. If you've been reading that series, it's a lot of fun. If you like superhero stuff, you like reading the comic books, you don't like dealing with Marvel so much anymore, you don't like dealing with DC or both, give the Massiveverse a look. We've talked about it at length on TLDR. We've had pretty much all the writers on the show at this point. So there's a lot of space to learn about that. Speaking of books that we talk about on the show, Joe is going to be doing Paper Girls, which that show is going to begin this week or the following week. And then I'm going to be talking Bitterroot, which was just up for an Eisner Award too. We'll be talking about all that stuff though on TLDR this week. Of course, we record on Tuesdays live the day after Change My Mind audio drops.
Love it. Can't miss it. Too long, didn't read. Gotta listen. Miss Marvel. Miss Marvel exit survey here. Very thorough synopsis, in my opinion. Kamala is a superhero fan with an imagination, particularly when it comes to Captain Marvel. Now, Kamala feels like she doesn't fit in at school and sometimes even at home. That is until she gets superpowers like the heroes she's looked up to. Yeah,
and I'd say it's a pretty good summary. It doesn't give a whole hell of a lot away, so it works. As for the cast and crew, I feel like this one's going to be strap in, everybody. Created for TV by Bisha K. Ali, written by Aisha Bori, starring Iman Vellani as Kamala Khan, Miss Marvel, Matt Lintz as Bruno, who we don't want to talk about, Zenobia Shroff as Miniba, Yasmin Fletcher as Nakia, Rish Shah as Kamran, Moan Kapoor as Yusuf, Sagar Saik as Amir, Samina Ahmed as Sana, Nimra Bucha as Najma, Najma, Alicia Reiner as Agent Deaver. I even struggle with that one. Anjali Bamani as Auntie Ruby, and Ariane Moyed as Agent Cleary. Excuse me.
Well done, Nick. Swimmingly. I was thinking what could be an interesting idea when we do like original versus sequel debates or things like that. Like the loser should have to read the next cast and crew.
You did throw that out there, and once you threw it out there, we stopped doing the voting.
Is that what happened?
It's seriously what happened.
Have I said that before?
You have said it before, and that is what happened. Like we didn't do a vote, and I just want everybody to know too. On the other side of my computer is my lovely fiance who's shaking her head at me over my awful pronunciation of all these names. So I apologize to everybody.
Well, maybe we should actually follow up on that then.
Yes, I think we will follow up on that.
Because that's painful. It's painful to listen to. I can only imagine how it feels.
It's I just feel bad because like I should be able to get most of these people's names right, and even then like it's whatever. But I think it's a good way to punish people. I fuck up. Like we could do a thing with Chris Pratt, Chris Pine, and Chris Hemsworth, and I'd fuck up one of their first names. So
you got all three of those right though.
Yeah, because I'm not reading it. That's why I read picture books.
Yes, exactly. Here, critics' reception of Miss Marvel received a 6.2 out of 10 on IMDb, as well as a 98-82 split on Rotten Tomatoes, with a 3.4 out of 5 on Google reviews, while 68% of Google users liked this show. Box office numbers, of course, kind of tough to come up with here. However, I think we previously talked about during another Trending Now portion of the episode where it was I think less than 1,775,000 feels like the number that sticks out in my mind for the first week viewers.
Yep.
But I heard a little anecdote today as I was again going through like some reviews of this as well as San Diego Comic-Con stuff that Miss Marvel was streamed more than Peacemaker.
Excuse me. Really?
I don't know. I don't know the validity of that. I'm just passing along that information and fact checked it at all. Thought that was an interesting anecdote if that was true. But again, that's funny about like, expectations versus expectations there, right?
Yeah.
Of two different companies.
Well, I think this is one where both of us so it was 770,000, 75,000 that watched it that first week when it debuted or when it came out, whatever it was. You and I were not among those people, and we've been there, especially you because you were doing the MCU at Home podcast with Goo for a long time. You were watching it like the morning that it came out. I'd probably watch it usually on the Fridays that it came out. I didn't binge this till the week before we did this episode. I just fell behind, and I was like, "This is a character I don't care a whole lot about." Whatever I had Obi-Wan going on, and then I feel like we had
that didn't help either. I think getting released on the same day as Obi-Wan. I don't know what the thought process was behind that.
Yeah, so Obi-Wan didn't help. Then I'm watching Peaky Blinders that's going on. I feel like there was Umbrella Academy came out at the same time. I still have to watch all of that. Stranger Things was going on too. So all these other things.
Thor: Love and Thunder.
Yep, and I knew for us and
the
our planning,
boys.
Yep, in our planning of things, I knew it was just so much farther back that I'd be okay to kind of sit on this one again. It's a character too who, until we watch this, I could not have cared less about. But I'll tell you what, I'm surprised at some of these numbers too. I mean, it's a crazy split on IMDb and on Rotten Tomato, and that IMDb number is ridiculous, Wes. I mean, I know we're far apart, but still.
Yeah, I think I'm closer to the audience score there, which I think is fine for what it was. I think we can get right into it right now. I'll hop right in. And you mentioned Moon Knight as another show that kind of came out recently. And that's kind of how I view this show in a similar type of tier where I wasn't necessarily drawn to the character like you were. So much like Miss Marvel, like I didn't really have much of a connection to the character, whether it was Moon Knight or Miss Marvel here. So I look at it in kind of the same way. I wasn't quick to rush it. I think it was fine, but overall, 79 out of 100. The show had me falling in love with the calm, immediate and extended family dynamic, and I thought that was the strongest through point of the series. However, the superhero storyline was just not compelling to me. And the major reveal left me kind of scratching my head more than excited with anticipation. So again, a superhero story that doesn't really, or show that doesn't really get the superhero story, kind of really pulling me in. That's something. That's where you lose points for me.
When you talk about the ending, I think we're going to get to the episode breakdown. I think there's something to be talked about a little bit there. But for me, still, I think actually we end up giving this the same grade for Moon Knight. It's a cumulative aggregate 84 score. You give it a 79. I gave it an 89. I felt like when I finished this, I love the character of Moon Knight. And maybe I did forgive some things in Moon Knight, but I love what they did with Mark Spector. So I was very comfortable giving that an 89. With this, I liked a lot of stuff that they did. I really think that there was one thing that's not in our notes at all is when you look, actually, I'm sorry, I'm jumping around. Let me give my actual review for this. Made me give a shit about a character I've never had interest in learning about. And it helped that they improved on her stupid Mr. Fantastic powers from the comics. And I love the way they used her family's culture to take us on this journey.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Sorry. No, I think that again the through point of the family's culture and the clear Pakistani influence, whether it was Iman Vellani or any of the other actors or actresses, it felt very authentic, being created by a Pakistani individual as well as directed by. So it felt very authentic there, which I think again came across well.
Yeah, and that ends up putting this in a tie for 23rd. In our rankings right now. We have Moon Knight and Miss Marvel both at 84. We also have Iron Man 3 at 84, but Moon Knight and Miss Marvel have higher single score, both having 89s. So they're ahead technically of Iron Man in the rankings, which I know hurts you. Well, you know what? You should have given Iron Man a higher grade. Iron Man 3.
There. So this will put it in our collective MCU, CMMCU Disney Plus ratings right now. If 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 out of 7th right now, or tied for 5th out of 7. So with Moon Knight just behind Falcon and the Winter Soldier there with an 85. But they're all kind of right around the same place there. We have Hawkeye at 87.5, a little bit higher up in a tier there. Loki at 89.5, WandaVision at 91.5.
So for me, I have WandaVision, Hawkeye, and then I have Moon Knight, Miss Marvel at the same grade. Then it goes into Falcon and the Winter Soldier, Loki, and then What If. Interesting. The difference. So what's your order then?
I think it's pretty much the same. I think it's pretty much what I listed. The only difference is I think I have Loki 1.
Yep, you have Loki 1. Yep. Okay. Yeah. Nice. Okay. Cool. All right. Let's get into the exit survey then. Right.
We'll start this off nice and easy, Nick. Did you like this show?
Yes, I very much enjoyed this show. I think one of the things that annoyed me was a very nitpicky thing. It was just how Kamala had 3 guys throwing themselves at her and look, she's a kid and everything like that. But it's 3 dudes like that. Come on, 3 studs, 2 studs and then Bruno, who we don't want to talk about. Wes, did you like the show?
I hear your point of what you're saying. And this comes back to clearly the show's not targeted towards us. So in a lot of different ways there. So the things we roll our eyes at with maybe, it's not really targeted for us anyway. I would say this is clearly for a younger demographic there. Binary, yes, I did like this show.
Good. Nice.
Cool. Binary, yeah.
It wouldn't have been bad.
But anything else, I'm yeah. Well, if I didn't like the show, I wouldn't give it a 79. You know what I mean? That's
yep. What is it?
70s like that through point for me.
It's interesting because you usually give the lower grade. Well, maybe it's because you give the lower grades. Because I think 75 for me.
Well, that's great on the curve.
Well, yeah, it is on the curve. Wow. Yeah, that is shit. Anyways.
Well, what was your favorite episode of the season?
So I gotta go with episode 4, Seeing Red, which actually was the second lowest graded of all these episodes. And a big reason for me was because I loved the addition of Kareem and Waleed in this story. Those, of course, are the Red Dagger dudes. Kareem, we need to see more of this actor. down the line. He was awesome. I mean, I'm assuming, let's say,
I bet he comes back. I think he comes back there.
Obviously, at the end, we do see him kind of pop up. I just mean in general, like if we do, like if people doing indie comics projects, get this kid involved. He kicks ass.
Okay, all right. I'm going early on. Episode number 1, the way that it was edited, the way that it was cut there, I thought it was really cool. Kind of seeing. I had this written down somewhere there, but seeing the creative world, the creative way in which Kamala just views the world, I thought that was very cool with the editing and the texting and everything, and how she's. So imaginative with how she's like kind of like laying out her plan to get to the Comic-Con event with Bruno there. So I thought that was all very well done. And again, it establishes the family dynamic. Well, I love the father coming in and they're dressing up like Thor and all that kind of stuff, right? And kind of like embarrassing her. And like, I love the establishment of that. The cooler older brother who, you know, kind of gets away with everything, but it is kind of like a father figure and you know, kind of way with Kamala. Again, that whole dynamic I was here for. And I think it shows in the episode when you look at IMDb. You mentioned like episode 4 and 5 are the lowest rated ones. And I think the first 3 episodes are some of the highest rated because I think it's dealing with the family dynamic. And then 4 and 5, you kind of have to push along the superhero storyline just to kind of get through it. But I think they spent such a great deal of time building up the family and the Illuminatis and everything like that, and the culture of going to the mosque and everything. It's almost like the superhero stuff's an afterthought to me.
Yeah, and if you look at this too, we have 4 episodes that are rated 7 or higher. The lowest one on the other 2 is a 6.5. So when like the series on IMDb, because these are scores from IMDb, correct?
Yeah.
So the score for the series is a 6.2, and then somehow no episode is rated below a 6.5. That math's just not adding up. I mean, to me,
that's interesting. Yeah.
But I think that's like, I don't know how IMDb takes the ratings, but like it's not like a critics audience split. I think there's like it's everybody's kind of mishmashed in together. But to me, like that's just like IMDb, where before we've crapped on Rotten Tomatoes so much over the years. Now I've said it a lot lately. Like it seems like, as much as I don't agree with Rotten Tomatoes, because I just in general don't like the aggregate scoring, it's making a lot more. It's made a lot more sense to me for a while now than IMDb.
It's balancing out. There it is. There. What storyline did you enjoy the most through this year?
Well, you've kind of hit on it quite a few times already. Just like the way they've used her family and everything like that to tell this story, and it's kind of just like the larger journey that Kamala goes on. And yeah, she does grow a little bit throughout the course of it, but I wouldn't say she's like this crazy dynamic character in like the nuts and bolts kind of sense where she goes through all like these crazy changes. Like she's pretty much a good person the whole time. She's just like kind of more of a kid, kind of more of an adult by the end of things. But she learned so much about her family and the history and just the things that we learn about, like you said, Pakistani culture, just shit that like Laura and I watched it. The
partition stuff, like that's very. I think that was episode 5, and I'm surprised that was if that's the case, that was the lowest rated episode. I think it gets a little bit slow, I guess, but I found it to be very moving with like a younger Kamala getting separated, or younger grandmother there, I guess, getting separated. Getting separated from her father and everything like that. So I thought that was crazy, and again, showing like the real black and white photos kind of bleeding into the still action or the action shots of it. So I thought that was kind of cool to see, like the train tracks and all the people, everybody on top of the trains trying to get out of there.
It was crazy to see. It was intense. I had no idea like this was. I just, there's a lot of stuff that I just didn't know, and like having taken world history classes, like it's just how was I not taught any of this stuff ever?
Yes. While I agree, I would put a disclaimer on there that it's important that we do not trust Disney to be our educators.
Well, that's a fair point. That is also true.
Well, I agree with you on that as well. But would you listen to the Big Me, Little Me, a Scott Lang interview podcast?
Yes, I would absolutely listen to that. If they did more things like that, I think it'd be fun. But they'd probably have to. I think Script a Minute could still be entertaining. I definitely listen to that. I think that's a great question. One of the best exit survey questions we've ever had.
So is this the assumption that what he was doing in between the blips? Or he was blipped?
No.
See, I can't.
No, Scott was in the quantum realm when the blip happened.
That's right. So when he came out of the quantum realm, was he doing this, or was this is a post-Endgame thing?
This is post Endgame, all this stuff, because he went right from getting out of there.
But I mean, did he start the podcast? Like
No, he
I don't
went
know.
straight to find. He went straight to his daughter, and then straight to the Avengers.
Oh, that's right. That's a good point. Well, we got to do the MCU rewatch of all of that soon, anyway.
Yes,
so I got to refresh my memory on that.
Clear.
Who else would be a good podcaster, YouTuber / Avenger?
Well, you listed off, I would say, some of the better ones here. So I don't want to take credit for the ideas that you had. This is a great question, by the way.
Kate Bishop, right? I think she would be a big one. She seems, she loves the gossip. She loves spreading secrets and everything like that. She's definitely like a kind of a fangirl type of thing. YouTuber, not a podcaster, a YouTuber.
Yeah. Yeah. But she could have a podcast with Kamala Khan.
Oh, I could see that. Okay. All right.
I could listen to that one.
And the other obvious one, big fanboy, Peter Parker, right? You already see the camera skills in Civil War.
Mm-hmm. Yep. I think that'd be a good one. I think Ned could also pull that one off too. Guy in the chair. I think
got a lot of secrets.
Korg would make a lot of sense just because of the video game background. I could see him doing something to that end.
Oh, a little live streaming, a little Twitch action.
Yep. Oh yeah.
Okay. All right. I like that. Now, Professor Hulk, we see him very funny. Again in Endgame, he's a big fan favorite, right? With Ant-Man and whatnot, getting photos and selfies and stuff. Like, I could see him having a Hollywood career.
I could see Hollywood career. Wow.
Or a Hollywood career, a personality or something like that.
Oh my God, how funny it would be if Hulk was an actor and then had his own movie within these movies. That'd be wow. If they were Hulk movies.
Right. Yeah.
I think he could do like he'd be a late night show host too. Something.
Oh, I like that. Well, you mentioned starring in your own movies. How about Kingo? Who? Kumail Nanjiani.
Oh yeah, that's
Eternals.
right. That's right. Yep, that's a good point. And then he's like pretending to be like his relatives over the years.
Yeah. And who gets referenced in Miss Marvel? Actually, I think that's what either his mother or her mother or grandmother says she has a crush on when they're like she's talking to Kamran about different movies. There's a reference to Kingo's being in like one of the Bollywood movies that they're talking about.
And there was that's I did miss that one. So good catch. And there was another one that there was another Easter egg mixed in there outside of like the average Avenger stuff. I feel like there was another like small passing thing. And I remember like doing like the Leo DiCaprio and
oh yeah. Oh, I got it. Yeah.
And another two other ones. So I think Hulk, well, he could do a late night show. I think that Rocket would be good for like a live radio show. I think he'd fit really well.
Yeah. Kind of like a Howard Stern-esque. Yeah.
Yep. Getting a lot of fights with callers. Have his whole gang was the Whack Packers. His whole gang. Drax is in there. And Star-Lord and all that shit. You have the Viking, Angel Viking come in once in a while, or Angel Pirate, whatever the hell it is.
Well, and Taserface too. Just the way he dismantles them. I know you love the Taserface joke, Nick. Maybe callers could call in and then he could rip them apart.
Yes. Oh, he would be the worst.
Kind of roast him. Yeah.
Yep. 100%. And then another one too, going back to the podcasting, I think I could see John Walker getting like bullied into by like the government. It's like, hey, but you'd be more relatable and more likable. You want the kids to get you. So you're going to have your own podcast.
I like that. Well, we saw that with Captain America in real life and in the MCU. They're used as a propaganda piece. I like that. That's all very on brand. This is a tough choice. Choice. I don't think you can go wrong with anyone. Although Korg as a Twitch streamer feels most on brand. Yeah,
I think I'd like some. If Rocket was on Sirius XM radio, I think I'd subscribe.
Yeah, exactly.
That would get me. But
just having someone who just like snorts up glass up his nose, right? Who wasn't that? Who's the comedian there who did that?
I have no clue.
Artie Lang, that's who it was. Yeah, that was his sidekick. Or he did something like, or snorted like crystal meth when he thought it was cocaine or something, and like screwed up his nose, and now he has like no nose.
He's a mess, that guy.
Yeah, he's sober now. Yeah, he's good. He's sober now. Good for him. So.
He was a mess. Oh boy. Yeah. Anyways.
Speaking of potentially messy, what did you think of Kamala Khan's power set and origins of her powers?
So this is definitely a thing we saw at the gates, right? Like people were complaining about this, and I was blown away because when we talked about it, I just looked at it as no one's going to care because I don't think the character is immensely popular. And more importantly, she has the same powers as Reed Richards, they're already there. I understand, like, we don't have the Fantastic Four yet, but those powers also suck. Like, they're a big part of why I don't like Reed Richards. I think he's a huge waste of time. So for me, I was like, do what you want. Get weird with it. You still have nods to it. And honestly, it's done a lot better. Like, because now it's like she has all these things she can do with these like crystal-y things. And she can extend her arms as part of it. It makes sense. It's a nod to what she was before, but it's better than what she was before. So I like it.
It's more like Green Lantern type of thing, right? Kind of can do whatever you want. Kind of, it's a little more ambiguous, right? With the power set there. Again, a little clunky and wonky at times there early on, but I think again that's probably more indicative of her learning, what the powers are, right? And I think by the end of it, they're using some cool ways. I like the stepping stones kind of running through the city. I thought the embiggening hands was a cool moment, catching the tank or whatever it was in the fight with Kamran there at the end, to kind of save her, kind of make her that superhero. But again, the ties to her family with the bangle were cool, although I found it a little bit confusing at times. I had a tough time kind of following it at some points. Maybe this ties into Shang-Chi. Somehow with that, with like the 10 rings and kind of like the mysticism with that. So I wonder, I don't know, who knows with that, but I thought that was done again well. This show exceeded my expectations, not for the superhero reasons as much though.
I'm here for all the wristband stuff in the MCU. Give me all of it. Give me everything. I don't know what else we got, but we have to do some research and see who else we can throw into the mix here.
I thought the bangle looked cool. I thought the bangle was cooler than the 10 rings. Actually, I think they look cool.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Ooh,
the rings look weird on Shang-Chi because he always and again, I'm a fan of rolled up sleeves on a button down. I always do it, or like pushed up sleeves on a long sleeve shirt. But he always has to do it now to leave that space. It just seems like he's really got to commit to that 3/4 sleeve, uniform.
I think we should put this out to a vote. I'm very curious how people feel on this one. Which do you like more?
No,
Shang-Chi's 10 rings?
I'm a Bengal, yeah.
Or do you like the Bengal more?
Cincinnati Bengals, baby. Give them to me.
Okay, well, I don't know. Although they were just in the Super Bowl. Anyways.
Well, we handle the power set. Again, I don't really care because I have no connection to her. And I have no connection to her, the Inhumans, or anything like that. But what do you think of her being the first mutant in the MCU?
So,
because of course, or just to set it up real quick for those who may not know, Bruno at the end kind of says there is, I've been looking at your genes and there's a mutation to it. And then you hear the X-Men 97 theme kind of playing in the background. She's like, wait, what?
Oh, you heard them. You heard that? I did not hear that.
Oh, yeah. That's absolutely what it is.
Okay. Well, that kind of turns away my theory then, because that'd be too much. Because I was wondering, like, is this another okie doke? But if you're having that music,
be so shitty if that was an okie doke.
Yeah, that would be
worse.
Pretty fucked up if it was an okie doke. So I mean, like, her being the first mutant, obviously, like, she's an Inhuman in the comics, so we're not expecting that. But like, I just want the mutants here now, man. Like, I obviously care about how they do it. I think that's obviously important. You can't just say, like, hey, they're here, unless you use the multiverse to do something like that. But again, it's still going to be messy. Like, you could have anybody be the first mutant. Like, it could be like Morph or somebody like that. Like, I don't give a shit. So like that's kind of where I'm at on it. And it improves the character too, because it's like Inhumans suck. I know they haven't given up on the Inhumans, but they still kind of suck, other than what happened to Black Bolt. Like, the coolest part Black Bolt's ever done, yes, it's a kind of a cool power, but like cooler that he died because of his power.
And killing Doctor Strange. That was a cool way to kill Doctor Strange.
Yes, that is.
I'm sorry. I just wondered, does she have to be a part of a team? I don't know. Did she have to be a part of a team, or could she just be her own thing and like maybe just like join up with like the Avengers, or something like that? But again, I don't know. Again, not having the connection to the Inhumans or her as a comic book. I don't really care all that much. It's a little disappointing though. Again, we get the okie doke with Professor X, kind of the multiversal X-Men there, and multiversal madness, and that's a little bit of a tease. We get the X-Men 97 thing, which is cool, but it's not, exactly what we're looking for with the real, live action adaptation of the X-Men in the MCU. And then we get this here, and again, like, we didn't even get a mention of, her or the X-Men at San Diego Comic-Con. So like, how far down the road is that? Are they going to be able to fit that in Fantastic Four and Kang Dynasties and Secret Wars all by 2025? I don't know. That seems like a very, very tall task.
I think they're gonna really I think Miss Marvel's the end credit scene is such a bizarre question mark, but we know we're getting the Marvels, right? We're getting that, so they're going to be dealing with whatever the hell happened at the end there. But I think because they give us such this odd okey doke at the end of it all, that or not okey doke, this odd twist or whatever, that now people are going to be focused on that, and they can kind of move safely away from the mutant stuff for that movie. Plus, you're going to have at least two other characters at the center of things. I just think we're so far. We're going to have the X-Men 97, and that's going to be what holds us over for a long. We're going to have to settle for that for now. You know what though? As we're talking about this, and we're talking about multiverse and everything like that, how nuts would it be is if whoever this new voice cast is for the X-Men 97 show, if these are people who are actors that you see, let's I know, what if it was Hugh Jackman and a Channing Tatum? It probably wouldn't be them, but let's say it's them. Mm-hmm. And then down the line, when you bring in the mutants, it's actually the X-Men 97 mutants that you somehow bring
Secret Wars from a different multiverse coming in, and they all of a sudden they're live action. That's very cool. I could be down with that. I like that a lot.
That'd be nuts.
Mention quickly the Captain Marvel post-credits scene. It looks like they do kind of a Freaky Friday swap. They change in the different dimensions there. We see Brie Larson, Captain Marvel, back in Kamala Khan's home in Jersey City. Again, if this is going to be weird with some musical elements leading into the Marvels, what if this is again a Freaky Friday, changing out of body, experience, the change up type of things where Kamala Khan's in Captain Marvel's body and vice versa. And maybe they're just getting really weird with it.
Yeah. I mean, you know what? We'll see how it goes. I'm not a musicals fan at all. I'll never forget with Lucifer, they were doing it. And then I haven't finished Lucifer still because of that. It just really turned me off. It's one thing to have elements, another thing if it's heavily in that. I got the impression that is straight up. That is actually Carol Danvers, not Kamala Khan in Carol Danvers' body. But I'll tell you what, I wouldn't mind seeing Kamala and her just straight up teamed up because they're so different. You got one that's a legitimate fangirl of the other. And again, when we talk about Brie Larson, she just looks like this anytime I see someone it's the Slim Reaper going on right now, that kind of scares me a little bit more with her. I'd like to see her with a little bit of an edge.
Yeah,
more of one, I should say.
Absolutely. There. Now, let's get into the nuts and bolts of the exit survey here. We mentioned a lot of this from the top in our previous questions. What do you think will age the best from this series, Nick? And for me, it's a lot of the family dynamics. I mentioned that. And again, the family's ultimate involvement in her suit and origin story with the necklace and the scarf and the suit and the Kamala name, meaning perfect, which, the father's you're our Marvel. It's nice how it all kind of comes together.
Again, of course, why would we know something like that? That's just so awesome. Where it's in the comics, it's definitely a cool thing, but I think here it's just such a wild nod that I think a lot of people just wouldn't. Again, why would we have known? Because most of us, I don't know how many people read those comics, but yeah, I think the family dynamic, my thing's right there with it too. When I think about the backdrop of learning about Pakistani culture, because there's just so much stuff. I didn't know any of it, so they tie in together. So I think that aged really well, and that's something that it gets overdone, but maybe it's just because it's a background that we don't know. It all flowed really well together throughout the entirety of the story.
Couldn't agree more. On the flip side, Nick, what do you think will age the worst?
Well, I think you had jotted down Agent Deaver. I think she's a bit of a pain in the ass. She's how would you have that job occupation with the decisions you make? But I think the battle inside the high school, it was fun in a way. Don't get me wrong. I understand this is a kid's thing, but the SWAT team has these non-lethal rounds. I know that they shoot one of the brick walls, and
which are from Incredible Hulk, by the way.
Okay.
The Hulk movie. That's what they use to kind of stop the Hulk and Abomination. Those sound guns, and they get brought back. I think that's going to be a through point. You're going to see that a little bit more. The weaponry.
Cool. And they make a lot of sense for if you don't know all the people you're dealing with and you don't want to kill them or whatever, especially U.S. government, they probably want to use them or whatever. But it's like
Sure.
there's so many times they could have fired those things off and they didn't. And it's just like, oh, this one time they narrowly got like it didn't. I think that was poorly done in that sense. I'm not saying the kids couldn't go and do stuff to kind of outsmart them or like because
Hmm.
obviously Bruno is a genius and everything like that. But I just think that was poorly done, kind of clunky.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. There again, the battle scenes, the superhero stuff, like the technicality, like of that, like that's not the strong point of this show. One of the worst, again, the lack of a real villain. This ties in with Agent Dever there. It's tough because they make right. It's like her great aunt, who's like the villain there, Kamran's mother, and then him as well are kind of the villains. But they make it a point throughout this show to say that Pakistani culture, Muslims in general, have been mislabeled, right, and unfairly prosecuted as villains, as bad guys, whether it be the U.S. government or in TV shows or anything like that. So it would be tough to have then contradict that everything that you set up with, than to have like a real bad villain who is also Muslim, Pakistani, however, you know. So that would be, so you almost have to have like the government as the bad guy here, and that's where Agent Devers and her partner is kind of comes into play. And even then, they're not really bad guys, you know. They are, but they're cops.
Her partner's definitely not. She's kind of like she's
right. She's going over the edge. Again, she's bad, but you know, again,
even the cops went against her.
You have to have a racist. Yeah, the softest way to have a racist cop is to put a blonde-haired woman in there, as the racist cop. That's like the softest way to present that.
At the end of it all, when she said like "Let's go team," I was like, that was like you've done a lot of things that annoyed me in this, but like that felt like a Karen thing. Like "Let's go team." I do. We talk about workplace stuff, and people are like, "Hey team," I'm like,
yeah,
stop. No, we work together. Like I could like you, but like stop. I just think it just sounds so stupid. Anyways.
What about Kamala's motivations for wanting to become a hero anyway, in the first place? Little selfish, right? Little derivative there. It's not really born out of a desire to necessarily help others, you could say. I think it's a desire to become popular and get Instagrams and, jealousy, maybe wanting to be someone else.
Yeah,
I think you could go down that road if you wanted to.
Yeah, but I mean, we've seen other people who it's like, oh, I got the powers, and I just want to have fun with the powers. I mean, it's just. I guess you could say derivative. Yeah, I guess you could say it's derivative. But we've talked about how like with Origins, so much stuff is like can feel cookie cutter.
Yeah, me, but that seems almost like an origin story for a villain. Being born out of wanting powers to create further your own status, perhaps, or your own, or again wanting it because someone else has it.
So are you saying Miss Marvel is really the villain of the Miss Marvel?
I think perhaps you could spin that in a certain way. Certainly,
you gotta go on YouTube and tell me if you find someone who actually went down that rabbit hole.
You might be able to find that. What do you think's the most rewatchable scene from this series, Nick?
Any of the stuff that involved Kareem, like with the fighting, like he was awesome in his introduction, and then him versus Kamala, and that was like I think when you talk about her clunkiness with her fighting, I think a lot of it tracks, it makes sense. But there in that moment, her fight with him was a little bit more fluid, and then we start to see her take some steps there where there's where she's getting trained a little bit while lead, and then the chase scene. I'm not the biggest like foot chase scene, like if we got a starship chase, I'm cool with that. Sometimes car chases are cool, but to me, this one was like one of the ones I like the most, and a big part of that is Kareem. Like that guy needs to be in more action movies. He's got a ton of potential.
Kareem the Dream. I'm going back to the first episode here. Again, viewing the world from Kamala's creative wandering mind in the first episode. I thought that was awesome. The way that it was done, it seemed like it got away from that a little bit, the way it was cut and edited and everything. I thought that was very creative. And then again, just the overall family community party. I think it was religious holiday at the mosque. When you go through and you meet the extended family and kind of all the craziness of everything. Like I thought, again, really enjoyed that. So good stuff there for me.
Yeah, the family stuff was, and again, like that's stuff that can be done pretty like forced, not great. And it's like one family member kind of stands out in all of it. No, I think that they did a really good job with it. And I think that's shown with the list of who you have for the nominees for who had the best performance by a side character.
Yeah, it's Yusef, Amir, Muniba, and Nakia. So
Mm-hmm.
the family there with Muniba, Amir, and Yusef. Again, I thought they were all great, and you kind of see even their evolution too. And I thought, well, the conversation between Muniba and Kamala at the end, where she's like, I don't want to let you go, and I'm squeezing tighter because I know I have to let you go, sort of thing,
Mm-hmm.
And that's kind of the sense of like every overbearing parent who has a teenage kid, right? I can see that a lot, but you see their evolution again, treating her like a child, and then slowly letting go, and then also kind of letting her know about their life before her, with the Bon Jovi stuff and like all the fun kind of people that they were too. So it's kind of like a new relationship that's developing within there. So I thought that was very, very well done.
And I think to that end too, with the mom, I think in the past we like she's a rebel, right? She was a rebel when she was a kid.
Yeah.
In the past, we would have seen where like not necessarily Disney, I just mean in general, like, oh, your mom was the one who went down this rabbit hole and tried to look into all this stuff. No, they kept it to the grandmother when it came to that sort of thing. And the mom was still a rebel, but in her own way. And it wasn't
in
like
a different way. Yeah.
Yep. And it wasn't this crazy big thing. It was just like a little bit in there. My only argument with Muniba, because I do think it does have to go to her if you view her as a side character. But obviously she's not one of the leads, right? So there's no question about that. But she is like in that second tier of characters where she has way more screen time than the father and brother.
Right,
Same
exactly.
with Nakia. And then Kareem was the other guy who I jotted down as well. Absolutely love him. I think that when you look at non-hero characters that we have in the MCU, so I'm going to throw Kareem, like he's kind of in that mix just because he's fighter and everything.
Yeah.
When we look at the non-fighters, Nakia is like one of the ones that I've taken to most quickly. Like she is a badass and like doesn't have like weight to throw around physically, but she throws her weight around for sure.
Oh yeah, and so just to make sure I'm thinking of the right, she's also the one who's campaigning for the mosque board, right?
Yep, and who gets selected to the mosque board?
Yeah, exactly.
She does a damn good job.
And how she's talking to Kamala's father, Yusef, about trying to get on the board and like kind of pulling strings and everything like that, kind of pulling on the heartstrings a little bit and using Kamala to kind of get him in there. So again, I thought that was very smart, very savvy. So she also gets a nod there, but I might go with Amir on this one then. If Muniba is not a side character here, which I agree with your assessment. I thought he was funny, if for nothing else, the line of when he sees Kamala and Kamran talking in the cafe there, and she's like, "This is our cousin." He's like, "Our cousin? Like our cousin?"
Yeah, and then at the end when he's like, he's getting
he just buys it. Yeah,
and then he's like, you're not even like, what is your deal? You're not even one of our cousins. Like,
yeah.
That was some good stuff for sure.
I thought he was pretty funny. Who do you think lost the movie, Nick?
Well, you put it down. You have two options here. I want to give you full credit. It was either the X-Men or the Inhumans. I think it's the Inhumans because you lose a character who like is at the beginning and like, hey, like people are like, especially younger audience, they're gonna like this character a lot. I like this character a lot coming out of this series. But like now it's like, hey, if you're not an Inhuman anymore, again, it's just another L for them. They just can't. They suck. Like who gives a shit about the Inhumans anyways?
See, I hear what you're saying, and it's your last point which makes me go with the X-Men, because no one cares about the Inhumans anyway. And I feel like I'm getting dick teased with the X-Men here, particularly with the mutation thing, particularly with the multiversal Charles Xavier, multiverse of madness, and especially because of the no announcement of live-action X-Men at San Diego Comic-Con. So it's all kind of just mishmash. So had we reviewed this movie or this show
on time,
on time, like maybe it would have been Inhumans, but where we're doing it right now, like I'm a little disappointed with the X-Men stuff.
Okay, that's fair. Yeah, I can understand it. This is the second time that they've would have disappointed you, right? Because then we have the Quicksilver shit too. But Wes,
that's right.
That's why I
forgot about that. Come on,
that's why I thought that might have been an okie doke. But your music point,
okay. See, I completely discounted that. Good on you, Nick.
Thank you, but your point about the music, I didn't catch that, so I got to go back and listen to confirm it. But that's that.
No, it is. It's out there.
Then there's no okie doke for sure. At least I would bank on it not being the case. But Wes,
according to various reports,
the movie on this,
it's got to be Iman Vellani
for the show.
I wrote a movie on there. That
I'm Ron Burgundy
too when I was Iman Vellani though. just exploding on her scene. I don't know, again, if this is her first, major role or first role in general. I thought she was very charming, very engaging. I think she can handle the spotlight very well. I'm excited to see how she can kind of play that Peter Parker type role, maybe to some other heroes, Captain Marvel specifically, but maybe we get her into some other crossover type actions. Scott Lang seems like a fun person to interact with. Kate Bishop seems like another one. So I don't know. Again, maybe we could see, how they kind of mix and match these heroes moving forward. But she's a winner, I think.
Dude, her, Scott Lang, and Kate Bishop is like the superhero trio that I never knew that I needed.
You would never get anything done. It would just be nothing but shit talking. And Peter Parker, there would just be a lot of shit talking.
God, that's my hashtag Avengers right there. That's my Avengers.
Exactly.
Oh my God. So you're wondering about Iman Vellani and her filmography. So this is her first show. She apparently was in some short films, but it's like her own things that she did. So it's pretty much just Miss Marvel, and it looks
relative unknown.
Yep, she is a relative unknown. Theme park attraction, all this. So she's an unknown. Yep, this is her first.
All right, good for her then. Yeah.
Yep, but I'm with you. The Khan family, of course, they're definitely winners in all this. But I think Iman Vellani is I think actually, and then you look at the character separately too. Miss Marvel, I think she's a big winner in this as well, because it's a character who a lot of people didn't care about as much coming in, and now I think you have a lot more people who do give at least a shit about her.
Well, she got her time in the spotlight, that's for sure.
Definitely. Absolutely. Well, that wraps up our Miss Marvel Season 1 exit survey, unless you have anything else to add.
No, that's it. Hop aboard, get your tickets, because the train is leaving for the discharge depot. All aboard!
What happened with you over the weekend, Wes? As if I didn't know already.
Big fun weekend. We had Nick and his lovely fiance, wife to be, Lauren, come down. We were a little bit of a change of plans there. We're going to go to the fair, but we're like, no, let's not do that. Let's get a little food and drink instead, a little libations in us. So very nice to meet Lauren for the first time. I thought she was great. So excited to exchange the pleasantries when you guys officially move up to New Hampshire and get all settled in and everything. But spent the night over with us. They played Cards Against Humanity. A lot of wine. No, bad choices.
Bad choices. I couldn't remember the name of the game. That game. Whew.
Similar to Cards Against Humanity.
Though. Yeah, I mean, Lauren felt like it was a little bit more fucked up than Cards Against Humanity, but you and I think we're in agreement that it wasn't.
Now, I haven't played Cards Against Humanity all that much, but I thought that was like explicit.
Well,
guzzling type things.
Yeah, I would say, okay, Cards Against Humanity is a little bit, can get raunchy. This doesn't get raunchy, but it got personal a few times.
Yeah, it did. Yeah, it did.
Yes. There were some questions that I look back on. I was like, yeah, maybe I should have just turned in those cards.
The turning in of the card. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, definitely could have done that on a few of those things. But anyways, it was still a good time. Late ass night.
I'm convinced though those games are designed for like college age and recently graduated college age people who don't know each other. Who aren't in relationships with one another. So like that's because then when you get anything like past that with the merit, then you get yourself into some hot water pretty easily.
Did you get any hot water after?
No.
Wes got picked on so much in that game. Not like everybody was like making fun of his answers because yes or no questions, but fuck, you got asked all of the questions.
I think it was because I'm an open book. I'm comfortable answering.
Yeah, you've lived a full life too. That's for damn sure.
Well, as the oldest one, I was the elder statesman of the group.
That's true. And as you like to point out to Lauren, like until I met her, I was just like reading comic books all the time and watching Castlevania. So, but yeah, we had an absolute blast. I mean, we were speaking of college because we stay up to like 3 a.m. with you guys, and then somehow got up the next day. Julia cooked us this amazing feast, which I don't know what
too much.
That was. That was.
I don't know. Very nice of her. She fully plays loves playing like the housewife role, like when she has the opportunity to. So
She
I definitely reap the benefits of it. It's great.
did an outstanding job, far too generous. We had a great time. And then Lauren and I went up to P-Town for the day because we were already halfway there at that point. And had a great time. Just parked the car, walked around on the strip the whole day, and bought some stuff. And yeah, had an absolute blast. Tried to walk all the way out to we went to the very tip of the Cape. There's like a lighthouse at the end there. We tried this big jetty walkway there. We went halfway, and then Lauren's feet have been bothering her because she's wearing sandals. Not great for walking on that stuff. My back has been killing me for a few days.
Yeah.
So we kind of just called it quits at that point. But we had a great time.
Did you get catcalled out there?
I did not. Nope. Not knowingly. Lauren got
You're
her
not
dress
doing it right then.
No, I guess not. No, I was wearing cargo shorts, and as Goo likes to make fun of me of all people for my attire.
Oh no! See, I think it goes the exact opposite. I think the more straight clothing that you wear, the more that you are like a golden goose to the rest of the public. So maybe you were doing it right then.
Oh, I guess yeah. I had
cargo shorts, something like that. Dad shoes, tennis shoes, that sort of thing.
Yeah, I had.
Yeah, Did you have your phone on your belt buckle holster? Those things. I feel like the gays in P-Town go crazy over.
I'm gonna wait till I'm an actual dad before I do something that stupid. But
yeah.
Anyways, fun weekend, fun time.
Yes, it was.
Yeah, cannot wait to do it up in New Hampshire. But now it is time for us to turn our attention. This week in
Shared Universe.
So #Dork is doing a whole thing on San Diego Comic-Con, just reacting
Why wouldn't
to
they?
that. Yep. And then we have Mac and Goo. Apparently they're off this week.
Yeah, they're both on vacation. However, they released what I believe is a pre-recorded episode, 21 questions and answers from Thor: Love and Thunder. So if you're interested in that sort of thing,
nice.
There's that.
Nice. People for Communism podcast did the 2012 jukebox, or they're doing the 2012 jukebox.
They did, yeah.
They did. Nice. Good that they did their monthly episode. TLDR, we're doing Paper Girls and Bitterroot this week, 2 Image books. And, of course, Paper Girls, we're going to be getting that show soon. Are you going to give that one a look, Wes?
Paper Girls? Sure.
Okay.
Assuming they're all of age.
I haven't read Paper Girls. Joe's one's talked about it, so we'll find out. And then I've heard it both ways. Season 4, episode 16 of Psych. As for the streamers, Doc is Backcracker on Twitch. Shime is Shime Time on Twitch. And then Davey and Keith do their Twitch or their streaming on the #Dork YouTube page. As for us, Wes, we mentioned it a little bit earlier. We're going to do more about further in the news from San Diego Comic-Con. We're going to have Casey Walsh on the show next week.
We're going to go viral for a state of the MC Union, Nick.
Yes, sir. Yeah, well, maybe we'll have to see if he has any DC nuggets as well, but I imagine we're going to be mainly MCU focused, try and see if we can further anything and get some other stuff that maybe didn't come out at San Diego Comic.
Oh, we love going viral, Nick, so we'll see. Get the aggregators out because it's going to be at the same bat time, same bat place, baby.